Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit today about a character web. Now, a character web is something that we draw. It's actually a graphic organizer for when we want to kind of understand a character better. All right? Now, if you're just reading a book or something, you're not going to stop and draw a character web for every character in the book. You'd never get through the book that way. Okay? But we've been reading this book, There's a Boy in the Girl's Bathroom. And there's a pretty strong character in here. One of you asked the question earlier, who do you think that is the main character? And that was a great question. And you guys came up with the answer that Bradley Chalkers was the main character. Okay, and there's lots of other characters in the book. Okay, you named off Jeff, you named off Carla, the mom, the dad, right? You named off lots of characters. And we could do a character web on any of those characters. It doesn't have to be the main character that we choose. But in this case, I'm going to make Bradley our center of our character web here. He's going to be our main choice. Because there's lots of things we've learned about Bradley, and there's lots of things we know about him. Okay, and when, as a writer, Louis Satcher really had to sit down and think about who he wanted this Bradley character to be. Okay, and part of the reason we started talking about this was because one of you said, hey, I thought this was going to be a story about a boy in a girl's bathroom. And this isn't actually a story about a boy in a girl's bathroom. Okay, there are parts where the boy goes into the girl's bathroom accidentally, or, you know, kind of is curious about it. But that's not the whole story, is it? That's not the whole story. However, there's a boy in the girl's bathroom. Who do you think this boy in the title is talking about? Who do you think it's talking about? Yep. Bradley. I bet it's talking about Bradley. And why would you say that?
Because the character is mostly on Bradley.
Yeah, because the main character is Bradley, and the character's kind of mostly on Bradley. Yep.
He probably made the title not because Jeff went into the girl's bathroom. Jeff kind of did it by accident.
Mm-hmm.
But Bradley, because he did it on purpose to get away from boys.
Okay. All right. So the author kind of used this title and maybe referred to Bradley, even though there were a couple of boys that happened with, right? Yep.
On the front, I'm wondering if that's Jeff or Bradley.
Good question. And that was a question you guys asked about from the beginning when you looked at the cover of this book. Who is that? Is it Jeff or is it Bradley? And I think we'd kind of have to go back into the story and look at the descriptions that Louis Satcher used to try to figure that out. Yes?
I think it's Jeff because, Bradley, he didn't run out, like, screaming with, like, his face. Like, he just, like, ran, but he didn't, like, have any, like, face
Okay.
thing.
Whatever it is, he looks pretty surprised, though, doesn't he?
I think it's Jeff because he went in the bathroom first.
Okay.
So I think
Did you have something to share?
I think it was Bradley because when you read the book, there was two girls. One came out of the bathroom and they're talking, and then when they saw Bradley, one screamed, and there's one screaming right there.
Okay.
And one man.
All right, so you're kind of using clues from the story to figure out maybe who this character is. And so we're going to talk a little bit about Bradley's character today, using a character web. So I'm going to write Bradley right in the middle. And you can make a web for anything. Anything you want to get more information about or learn more about or think about something maybe that you didn't know as much about before. Today we're going to use this to find information in the story about Bradley. And you guys have paid very careful attention during the reading. I know you have because you've made some great comments. So, what do we know about Bradley? Think about the character of Bradley. What do we know about him? Yes? Yes?
He doesn't really behave that well.
Okay, so he doesn't, and I'm going to draw just a line off. He doesn't behave
Well, in the beginning.
Oh, okay. He doesn't behave well in the beginning. Okay, yes.
He doesn't behave well in the beginning because he didn't know Carla, which Carla is the guidance counselor, and he only started to be good and did his homework because the guidance counselor, he thinks that they're in love because she gave him a kiss on the cheek.
So are you telling me that his behavior changed
Yes.
in the story? So you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to make this web here, I'm going to make this topic behavior. Okay, and you told me he doesn't behave well in the beginning, but you said Carla helps him, right? Carla helps him. And after Carla helps him, look, I can even draw another line right off that. He starts doing, I'll capitalize that because I want to make a full sentence, a complete sentence. He starts doing homework. All right, that's what we know so far. Homework. I kind of write it down here. All right, what else do we know about Bradley? Yes.
Well, Bradley, he goes and he has trouble because he goes to the teacher that he, like with Carla, he starts doing his homework. I mean, Bradley starts doing his homework. And he asked the teacher what page is it, and the teacher said it's 43. So he went home and he went up to his bedroom. And his mom was sitting reading the newspaper, and he went up and like the stuffed animals were around him, and every animal said something different. Like, and his homework was what was fun and.
All right. So, right, that's a great summary. So I heard lots of things in there. Can you tell me one thing that you guys heard in there about Bradley? Yes, one thing. Maybe something that I could even put in a bubble like this.
That he threw his homework away.
So this topic of homework keeps coming up, doesn't it? I think we should make a homework
He threw
bubble.
his homework away because he was nervous and like he didn't want to be made fun of, and he thought he was going to get in trouble because he by accident ripped his homework. So then he did it on a separate piece of paper. So he thought he would probably get in trouble.
Okay, so first we're saying he doesn't really do it, right? So he doesn't do it much at first. Doesn't do it. But then when he does it, he throws it away, right?
Even if he does know he's going to get it right, he
Throws
still
it away. Okay, even though it's right. Even though it's correct. All right, he still threw it away. Okay, what else? What else? I also heard some talk about the stuffed animals. To talk about the stuffed animals. What about the stuffed animals? Yep.
He likes to pretend that stuffed animals talk, and they're really cute names that I forgot of.
Okay, so stuffed animals, and I heard you say that he pretends they talk. Okay? We've heard about these stuffed animals from the beginning of the story, haven't we? So I would say that's a big part of Bradley's character. I'm wondering, why? Why are those stuffed animals even in the story? That's a question that comes up for me. And you said he pretends they talk. Okay. And you can circle another if you want. I could circle all of these if I wanted to. But yes.
He does like he ripped up his homework and brought it home to his stuffed animals.
Okay. Oh, all right. So are you telling me there's a connection here between the homework and the stuffed animals?
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm just going to draw a dotted line there. Because you said he ripped it. It's kind of hard for me to write sideways, but ripped it and brought it home. Brought home to stuffed animals. Okay, so these webs can get pretty complicated here if you're really connecting pieces. But do you see how as we're building this character web, we're making connections between the character and different pieces of the book? I really love these. Yes?
Some of the stuffed animals are a bear, a rabbit,
Okay.
a cocker, a spaniel.
Spaniel,
And
yes.
some other ones. The rabbit's name is Ronnie.
Ronnie, yeah, so you remember a lot of specific pieces about those. That's good. That's good. I still am wondering why he had them, though. I'm still wondering why he had them. Yep.
Well, one thing is that he has his cards, I think, the different cards he plays with.
Okay.
King of Hearts, and he's playing at the attack the animals.
Okay, so he plays games with his animals, doesn't he?
And I think I know why he has a stuffed animal.
Oh, you have a thought about that. Share it, please.
Because he doesn't have any friends, so he plays with his stuffed animals instead. And the stuffed animals usually, like, they don't get in many fights with each other, so he has good friends.
Okay. So, Henry, this is what I'm hearing you say. Stuffed animals don't get in many fights. I'm going to write that. And I also heard you say that he doesn't have many friends. You said Bradley doesn't have many friends, didn't you? Yeah. You know what? I think we should make that its own bubble, that he doesn't have many friends. Because we see that a lot, don't we? Louis Satcher talks to us a lot about that Bradley doesn't have many friends. And are you saying maybe that's why he plays with his stuffed animals?
Yeah, and with his deck of cards. And what I think is later on in the story, we'll find out more about what he plays with, because I thought when I heard about the King of Hearts and that stuff, I thought he might play with different decks.
Oh, so you were hoping for more specifics about those games, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and maybe we will hear more about that. But I'm going to draw a line here, just kind of a dotted line from this why he has them to that maybe he doesn't have many friends. That's an inference. That's an inference, Henry. You're kind of inferring, you're guessing, based on what you read, that's why. Okay, that's a great inference. Yes.
One of the stuffed animals' names is Bartholomew.
Bartholomew. Great. We'll write that right up there. Right in that bubble there. Yes.
Well, he plays with the stuffed animals because they're his friends. So, he acts like they're real people by talking, pretending that they're talking, but he's really talking. And, he doesn't like to tell anybody that he has stuffed animals. He doesn't even want his sister to know because he thinks he'll make fun of her.
Okay.
She'll make fun of him. And he plays games with them because they're pretty much the only friends. And he only has one friend, but now it's not his friend anymore because Bradley paid somebody to be his friend because he didn't have any friends, and now his friend that he paid, I don't remember his name though, but now, Jeff, he paid him, but now he's not his friend, now he's Bradley's friend, and now it's Jeff's friends now, and they don't like Bradley because they thought that Jeff gave Bradley a black eye, and Bradley's like the most person who's like, he's mean and he doesn't do a lot of things.
Okay, so I heard you say a number of good things there. So you said the stuffed animals are his friends, and he doesn't want people to know about them, right? And you also said that because they might make fun of him, right? So make fun, question mark, right? And then you also said he doesn't have many friends, and he even paid Jeff to be his friend. Now the other thing I heard you say, you're really thinking about this a lot, and that's very, very smart. You talked a little bit about Jeff's character. We're not doing Jeff's character in this web, but I heard you say at the beginning Jeff was kind of his friend, and then now Jeff's not his friend at all. Okay, so Jeff's character is changing, and that has some effect on Bradley's character too, doesn't it? When Bradley thinks he has a friend, how does he feel? When Bradley thinks he has a friend, how does he feel? Yes.
Happy and not like lonely. Says something to me.
Okay. So, I'm going to make another bubble here about Bradley's feelings, because I see Bradley's feelings as being an important part of this. Okay? So, he doesn't have many friends. Right? You guys have said lonely. All right? He doesn't have many friends. He's lonely. I'm going to draw that. But when he thinks Jeff is his friend, how did he feel, did you say? Did you say happy?
Happy
Yeah, he felt happy
and not lonely.
and not lonely when he thinks Jeff is his friend. And so I'm going to draw this, and I'm going to just kind of draw a dotted line to that. And these are kind of connections we're making to different things in this story. Okay? Yes.
He didn't pay Jeff. He said, "Give me $1 or I'll spit on you."
Okay. All right.
He said, "Give me $1 or I'll spit on you." So,
Okay.
and then Jeff gave him $1, but then later on after school he said, I'll give you $1 if you are my friend." But it's actually his dollar. But when his sister finds out about his stuffed animals, he said, "Get out of my room or I'm gonna punch your face in."
Okay, so does Bradley talk very nicely
No.
to his friends?
But
So,
then he started talking nicely when he was with Carla. But sometimes people still think he's a monster. So Bradley says, "Where do I put my homework?" To Sean, which is a girl.
mm-hmm.
And then Sean's like, I think she's like, "Don't tell me what to do. You're not the boss of me."
Okay. So this is what I'm hearing you say. I want to make sure we get all your thinking. You've got some great thinking here. So you said he doesn't talk nicely. But then, just like with doing his homework, Carla helps him talk nicely. Right? You said that. Now what else did you say that we need to get up here?
That he says to his sister, the stuffed animals, "Get out of my room or I'll punch your
Oh,
face."
right. So he doesn't talk. He doesn't talk very nicely. Some of the things he says, and you could put those quotes right in your character web if you had room for them.
Even to his teacher, he doesn't talk nicely. But now
Okay.
he does. He's not allowed to take books out of the library because he used to take them home. And once he did that, he'd scribble in them and rip the book all up, bring it back, and he'd never bring it back to school. And then she keep giving him chances, and now he's not allowed to bring books out at all. And he's
Okay.
in, I want to say, 4th grade. 4th grade.
Yeah, was it 4th or 5th? 5th. It was 5th. Okay. So, and the other key thing I heard you say is that his behavior changed. Okay? His behavior changed.
Just like the Henry part.
His behavior changed.
Yeah.
Okay? So, we could do a whole other section on changes in behavior, and there's actually a different graphic organizer we could use for that. Okay? We could write his name, the behavior he had, like doesn't talk nicely, how he was in the beginning, the middle, and the end. Okay, that's another kind of character graphic organizer we can use. Monster. And we could talk about the relationship between Bradley and Carla. Those are other things we could talk. Yes.
I think Bradley doesn't want any friends.
Okay, he doesn't have many friends, and you're guessing that maybe he doesn't want many friends. And why would you say that?
Because
That's an inference too.
he's mean to people. He just doesn't want any.
So he doesn't want any friends. Maybe because he's mean to people. He's mean. Okay, and notice when I'm doing this character web, this is certainly not my neatest writing. Okay? This is my thinking. I'm trying to get all my thinking out about this character here. Okay? because getting my thinking out about this character helps me understand the characters better. Okay, please put your hands down. All right, so I'm sure many of you are noticing other connections you could make. I'm sure many of you are seeing other bubbles that you could make, other lines you could draw. Now, another way, I just use the same color marker, the same color, you know, you could use a colored pencil, a crayon. Crayon might be more tricky, but you could use different colors for each of the main circles. See, if I were going to show you, I don't think I have a different color in my pocket. No. If I were going to show you each of the main circles, I'd do feelings. Okay, I'd probably say doesn't have any friends. Probably say stuffed animals. Homework piece. I would say behavior changed. And this behavior would be a main one too. These would be my main circles here. Okay, and then everything else coming off of that, I could even do this one in a different color or this one in a different color. However you want to organize it is certainly fine, okay, with me. What I would like you to do is, in your own reading that you've been doing, I'd like you to pick a character, okay, and I would like you to start a character web on that character. I want you to think about what they do, the main things they do. I want you to start thinking about maybe why they do them, okay? And you can pick whatever book you've been reading. You can work on this with a friend if you want to, especially if you and your friend have read the same book, okay, or have been reading the same book before. And I want you to think about this, okay, because we're also going to be using this in our writing. All right, just like Louis Satchard had to think about this before he wrote his book, you guys need to think about this for your characters before you write too. Okay? So, that's what I would like you to do.